Organizations recognize that they do better business when their people are engaged, motivated, and yes, talented. Having the right people in place at the right time is a key aspect to continued growth, success, or even just stability. So, this course will provide you with just what it takes to have the right people ready. It will help you create a program to measure the talents of your people and how to help them grow in preparation for the future. It will also help you support and grow your organization by teaching you how to apply the most current research and adapt your organization to the ever-changing marketplaces. By the end of this course, you will be able to apply the multifaceted aspects of talent management in their own organizations, describe the skills required to manage high-potential candidates, recognize and foster talent within an organization, explain the principles of competency-based management, use the language for talent management. So, let's get started. I will see you on the other side. Understanding talent management. What is talent management? As a business practice, talent management is relatively young and rapidly growing one. Aspects of talent management have existed in organizations for years, but it is only really since the end of the last millennium that we have brought thoughts about recruiting, retention, engagement, succession planning, and leadership development together and discussed them in terms of talent management. In the business marketplace, having a strong grasp of talent in your organization and being able to use talents appropriately will differentiate strong companies from their competitors. Talent management is the science of using strategic human resource planning to improve business value and to make it possible for companies and organizations to reach their goals. Everything done to recruit, retain, develop, reward, and make people perform forms a part of talent management as well as strategic workforce planning. A talent management strategy should link to business strategy to function more appropriately. While a CEO may hesitate to plan for his or her own replacement, they also recognize that leaving an organization without strong replacement options is a poor choice. While it might feel a bit like planning your funeral before you have died, a solid talent management program makes everything much easier for the people that are left behind. It also means that the organization is committed to growing and being sustainable beyond the reach of leadership that is currently in place. So, ask yourself, what aspects of talent management has your organization already tested? Do you have a formal talent management program in place? Think about it. And now, let's look at a focused effort to manage talent. Most of us hesitate at planning our own departure from a current job, but in terms of leadership, that could leave unexpectedly or on short notice. Therefore, an organization without a plan is in trouble. Boards and companies that fail to assign high priority to succession planning and leadership development will see a steady attrition in leadership candidates, or may retain people with outdated skill sets. Successful companies, in terms of talent management, don't just make a commitment to a process, they embed it their strategic plan. From the board of directors downward, the program is integrated so that senior executives, middle managers, and frontline supervisors are all involved. These key people are evaluated specifically for their contributions to organization-wide efforts. In terms of risk management, the issues surrounding talent management are amplified in terms of loss. When the head or senior managers of a company are lost, then the stability of the company falters. Think of the numbers of people and companies that would be impacted following a major natural disaster. If there is no one available to step in and take over, then there really is no one guiding the organization. Understanding performance management. From a talent management standpoint, employee evaluations concern two major areas of measurement: performance and potential. Current employee performance within a specific job has always been a standard evaluation measurement tool of the profitability of an employee. However, talent management also seeks to focus on an employee's potential, meaning an employee's future performance, given the proper development of skills and increased responsibility. So, do not consider the performance and talent management as the same. Talent management is a broader term in human resource management that helps HR managers recruit, retain, develop, reward employees. However, performance management is a more niche and dedicated term that helps HR managers measure the performance of employees based on metrics and feedback. Performance management consists of two main elements: goal setting and performance review. The outcome is based on how or what employees did, their behavior. This is consistent with the behaviorally based approach to managing behavior, or what is referred to as the shared management model. Here is the shared management model. Please have a look at this slide. The shared management model takes the whole load off the supervisor or manager and divides it between them and the employees. Supervisors and managers can and must prepare the employee through teaching, training, coaching, counseling, and supporting. The employee's work must be evaluated after it is done to determine if it meets expectations. However, ultimately, it is the employee's responsibility to do the task. In the shared management model, an important member of the organization's team is highlighted: the employee. This model demands that you, the supervisor or manager, focus on the growth and development of your employees so that they can manage their own performance. One of a manager's roles is to make sure everyone knows what a good job is and what the employee needs to do in order to be more successful than he or she already is. Identifying performance competencies and setting goals or targets is one of the best ways to accomplish this. This binds a person to a standard of performance and the results that are expected. If individuals don't know what a good job is, nor what they must do to become more successful, they are unable to do anything different or to channel their energies to improve personal performance. Understanding succession planning. Hello, and welcome back. Today, let's talk about succession planning. Successful succession planning means that if someone leaves an organization, the right person should be in place to take their place. Succession plans were first used by family-owned companies as a way to ensure that the business stayed in the family. If the business owner was the family patriarch, it was common for the children to be groomed to take over the business. That process evolved slightly as businesses began intensive research and preparation to replace CEOs. Today, succession planning means that businesses provide developmental, support, and search activities to ensure that the organization continues effectively when people who occupy key roles leave or are promoted. Succession planning is an aspect of workforce planning that concentrates on key positions within the organization. And workforce planning involves all positions within the organization. Remember, replacement hiring is a response to a vacancy. Succession planning is a proactive process that addresses needs before they exist. So, if we hope to compete for talent in today's workplace, then our organization has to make sure that it appeals to and can successfully compete for the best talent available. Succession planning means that we are working long-term, like we do when we invest our retirement savings. This is different than hiring in response to a vacancy. So how to identify critical people? The critical people for your succession plan are those whose absence directly interferes with business operations. In a small, family-run organization, this could be just 2 people, namely mother and father. And in a medium-sized organization, this could just be 4 people. For example, the CEO, COO, HR director, and CFO. As things get larger, the numbers will increase. Beyond those first people that you identify, you must delve down at least 2 layers to reach all of the people involved in your succession plan. Note, in businesses that experience high levels of turnover because of contracts, burnout, or retirements, you will need to work through 3 layers. Here's an example of succession planning for a CEO named Anne, using a succession plan chart that delves down 3 levels. So, please have a look at this slide. Note that the people under Anne in this chart may not report directly to her, but these are the staff that have been identified as best able to step into her shoes. Now it's your turn. Identify a critical position in the organization. Anne, the CEO. Delve down 3 levels below the critical position. No one, then Abby, and finally Robin. Looking at this example, what 2 areas of potential difficulty do you see? Here is another example. Considering these 2 examples, you can see Anne's successor is a problem, but Max's is not. So, what steps would assist in resolving some of the issues around Anne's successor? Identifying resources. Now that you have looked at the resources within your organization and identified who the critical employees are, you might also be thinking about the fluidity of the current marketplace. It is tough to explore succession planning without acknowledging that the employment marketplace moves in cycles, depending on things like the economy, retirement waves, and mobility of the workforce. We could set ourselves up for difficulty. For example, we may groom an individual for a senior position, and then they leave the organization and apply their talents and our hard-earned training money to another company. So, what about loyalty? What about gratitude? Well, don't count on gratitude, but there is good news. Although loyalty is not a major attribute of people entering the workforce today, mobility might not actually hurt you as much as you think. The process of developing leaders is a calculated risk that you take to ensure the success of your business. Although newer workers entering the workforce will exhibit high levels of mobility, changing jobs and even professions many times, they are also expected to revisit previous employers. For example, you hire me in an entry-level position when I have just finished school, and I work with you for 3 years. It is true that I may move somewhere else. However, if I change jobs every 2 to 5 years and there are only half a dozen organizations that exist within my industry, the chances are good that at some time in my future, I will return to your organization. Think about it. Where are your other resources located? Where do the people that you want to attract actually spend their time? Working with recruiting specialists as a part of your succession planning can open you up to resources that you were unaware of even 5 years ago. If prospective employees are not knocking on your door or flooding your inbox with resumes, they may be out experiencing their community and life. Explore where the up-and-coming leaders that you want to attract actually spend their time and go meet them on comfortable ground. Do not expect that they will see your recruiting ad and want to come work for you. Do not anticipate that the best candidates will come to your job fair. It just doesn't work that way anymore. They may see your ad, they may have heard of you, but they also are checking you out very closely. So, what kind of an environmental reputation do you have? How much money do you invest in employee development? What kind of benefits do you offer? Don't be offended by changes in the way people are approaching work. This is simply the reality of how people are addressing their own values for balance, community, or meaning. Attract people with long-term vision that reflects their own values, not just the values of the organization, and you may find that in the long term, you have attracted the people that enrich your organization, and that you can stop hiring to simply respond to an immediate need. Remember, we cannot treat employees as commodities. They will not stand for it. Knowing that the strengths of the people who work for your organization are what can make or break you, you might as well put in the extra effort and find the people that you want. Now, let's look at developing external successors. So far, we have really focused on developing our internal people as the most appropriate successors. In some positions, however, that will not always be possible. A small resource pool or highly specialized jobs are just two reasons that we may have to look outward for successors. Therefore, developing relationships externally to your organization can be an important way to attract interest in your organization. Meeting potential candidates through a business network and by attending or sponsoring functions for college students and graduates are just a few of the ways that you can look at finding external candidates. Developing methods to suit your organization could also involve commitments in sponsoring scholarships, participating in competitions, or setting up internships. Creating a talent management process. A good talent management program has 3 steps. We'll look at each element as the course progresses. However, before you begin to develop a talent management program for your organization, you should first create a vision for it. This will help you focus your program and achieve the desired results. To start, gather your organization's vision statement, mission statement, long and short-term goals, and any other planning documents. If your organization hasn't thought about these things, now is the time. Next, plan a vision-setting workshop and invite all the key players. If possible, have the workshop off-site, preferably somewhere that incites creativity. You may also want to choose a facilitator to lead the meeting on vision setting. If you want to get the best out of your employees and attract new talent, you must implement an efficient talent management process. Employees are the most important part of an organization, offering passion, personality, hard work, and unique assets from all angles. This is the mentality you should have when developing your team and your talent management process. Some employers act on the notion that workers can be replaced, viewing them not as humans, but as machines that simply get the job done. Instead, you should recognize and build on superior talent within your organization, focusing on their personal strengths and interests, and how they fit into your business. Such a strategy is known as a talent management process, which seeks to recruit, develop, and retain top talent. Today's employees want to know that they have been selected for positions because they have the ability to succeed in those positions, and that the organization is going to continue to develop them into top performers, says Michael Colley, ICF credentialed executive coach. They are looking for companies with strong talent management systems that will recognize their individual efforts, reward their performance, and give them opportunities for growth and development. Colley described talent management like a relationship People search for certain qualities in a person they in love before deciding to commit, and they stick with each other through good and bad days. So long as there's still effort and respect and the dynamic does not become toxic, commitment should not be broken. The same goes for an employer and employee. Your talent management process exists to support your employees without trying to change them. It's a crucial addition to every business. However, research by American Express found that only 23% of executives view talent management as a top priority. This disconnect might be the reason for high turnover rates and employee disengagement. To get the best out of your employees and continue to attract new talent, you'll want to implement an efficient talent management process. Here's how. Creating a talent management process. The first step is to remember employees search for more than monetary rewards and a glamorous office. Sure, those incentives are attractive and beneficial, but workers want to know that they share the vision and values of their potential company. That's why it's crucial to identify your organization's mission from the get-go. The organization must have a solid idea of what they are about, what they plan to accomplish, and who they want to be as the journey there. This may take the form of a mission statement, organization goal, and/or a list of no-compromise values. Your vision and values as a company will influence every part of your talent management process, from recruitment and hiring to retention and employee development. For instance, an applicant might be a talented individual with tons of experience, but if their objectives don't match yours, they won't serve your organization the way you need. Or, if a current employee isn't progressing in a way that suits your mission, you'd better know how to approach the issue for both parties. There are many issues to address in your talent management process. So, let's look at the most important points to cover. Let's start with organizational and job design. Which skills, abilities, and performance are needed to meet goals and objectives? Workforce planning. What is your strategy or plan for developing teams with the necessary skills and capabilities? Which skills are critical to hire, and which can be built through training and coaching? Talent acquisition. How will you source, screen, and hire talent with the right skills, abilities, and characteristics? Onboarding and orientation. What are your pre-arrival and arrival logistics? What will your new hire orientation entail? How will you ensure effective expectation setting, team integration, and cultural alignment and assimilation? Learning and development. How will you customize training for each worker in line with company goals and objectives? How will you integrate this development into day-to-day performance, management, feedback, and coaching? Performance management. How will you provide continuous opportunities for performance review, appraisal, feedback, and planning? How will you ensure clarity of expectations and nurture a culture of coaching and performance? Leadership development. How will you review employee performance and potential? How will you develop and prepare individuals for possible leadership roles? Employee engagement. How will you continuously gauge employee engagement levels? How will you align their work with the company's vision, objectives, beliefs, roles, and values? Identifying talent. Identifying the talent in your organization must be a key part of your talent management process. There are several major groups that employees typically fall into. These are average citizens. These are the average Joes that keep the company running. They meet or perhaps sometimes exceed your expectations. They can be counted on to do their jobs consistently at an acceptable level. This group often forms the majority of your organization. They are the workhorses, and they must be kept happy in order for your organization to continue being productive. High performers. These are your superstars, the people who consistently go above and beyond what's expected. You can identify them by asking, who consistently exceeds expectations? Who pitches in and helps when there's a crisis? Who can we go to for new, exciting ideas? Who inspires others to go above and beyond? Who do we miss when they're away from the company? When we think of the company's values and mission, who do we think of? High potentials. This group identifies individuals who have high potential for leadership growth. Individuals will likely move in and out of this group over their career. High potentials must have both the motivation and the ability to move forward in the company. Some things to look at to help you identify high potentials include who has taken on challenging assignments and projects lately and done well with them. Who are the leaders in our company? Who has taken initiative in personal development, requesting training, coaching, and feedback? Who has taken opportunities to learn more about the company? Who has a wide breadth of experience inside the company? Some companies subcategorize high potentials into categories like upcoming high potentials, prepared high potentials, executive high potentials. Successors. A successor is someone who will replace a particular individual in your organization. Identifying and grooming successors so that you aren't left with a talent gap is an important part of that talent management planning. There are typically 4 levels of successors that should be identified. Prepared successors. Ask yourself, who is ready to fill the position now? Future successors. Who will be ready to fill the position in 1 to 2 years? Potential candidates. Who could be ready to fill the position over the next 3 to 5 years? Emergency successors. Who could fill the position for a short term if there was an emergency? Now, you're probably thinking, aren't successors and high potentials the same thing? Not necessarily, and here is why. Please, have a look at this slide. Next, key experts. Depending on your organization, you may also want to identify key experts and develop a talent management and succession plan for them. Key experts are individuals who have a very high level of expertise in their field. They often have credibility in the field, specific credentials or academic achievements, membership on important boards and committees, publication and/or speaking credits, innovation in their field. When planning succession and talent management for key experts, you will focus on individuals who have a particular area of expertise or desire to achieve that level, rather than individuals who want to advance in the company. Finally, I would say, consider missing pieces. Equally as important as identifying where the talent is identifying where the talent is not. Which departments lack the categories mentioned today? Which departments lack a succession plan and the resources to support it? Today, we will continue with case study on Smith Plumbing, Inc. Background information. Joe Smith opened a family plumbing business in 1974. Recently, Joe has started thinking about retiring, and he's realized that he's not sure who would take over the business. His daughter, Melissa, is very smart and always goes above and beyond her duties. However, she has no desire to be anything but a plumber. His son, Jim, is also a plumber and has expressed desire to take over the company someday, but he doesn't have any business knowledge. So, Joe has brought in a talent management expert to help him identify the talent in his organization. This will give him a start on planning his company's future. Now, have a look at this organizational chart. Now let's look at individual profiles. Joe Smith. born August 1954. Family details: married to Jane Smith. They have 4 children: Jim, John, Melissa, and Mary. Education: 10th grade. Work experience: worked as a plumber from 1969 to 1974. Opened his own business in 1974. Jane Smith, born September 1954. Family details: married to Joe Smith. They have 4 children. Education: high school. Vocational training as a secretary. Work experience: none other than Smith Plumbing. Andrea Jones, born January 1979. Family details: married to Andy Jones. They have 1 daughter, Samantha. Education: high school. Trades training in plumbing, electrical, and business administration. Work experience: 2001 to 2003, manager for a small construction business. 2003 to 2005, plumber for a rival company. 2005 to 2010, plumber for Smith Plumbing. 2010 to present, senior plumber with Smith Plumbing. Jim Smith, born January 1989. Family details: not married, no children. Education: high school. Trades training in plumbing. Work experience: has worked for Smith Plumbing since 2010 as a plumber, has been around the business, and performed odd jobs all his life. Melissa Smith, born April 1985. Family details: 1 son, Alex. Education: high school. Trades training in plumbing. Work experience: has worked with Smith Plumbing since 2007 as a plumber, has been around the business and performed odd jobs all her life. Terry Andrews, born July 2000. Family details: not married, no children. Education: high school. Trades training in plumbing and auto body repair. Work experience: 2016 to 2018. Worked odd plumbing jobs. 2018 to present, plumber with Smith Plumbing. Current duties: does residential plumbing. Now it is your turn. Fill out the talent template and mark NA to any categories that do not apply. You can download this worksheet separately. Remember, having a talent management and succession plan in place will help you better respond to emergencies and crises in your organization. It is far easier to make decisions when the pressure is off. And when the pressure is on, you can look at your plan and focus on implementing it, rather than scrabbling around, trying to figure out who knows how to work the bottle capping machine. Although it is ideal to have an emergency short-term successor in mind for each of your key positions, this often isn't possible. Most often, you're left in a situation where you have successors for the position, but they may not be ready for a year or even several years. Getting the right person for the job. Welcome back! Although your talent management program may be focused on the high potentials, high performers, and successors in your organization, don't forget about the majority of your workforce, the average citizen. The high performers in your organization will only be as successful as the people that surround them. You need to make sure that you have all of the right people in the right job, even the average citizens. Hiring the right people is easier said than done. Hiring is not yet a science, but with the right knowledge and tools, you can get top-notch people every time you hire. You have probably heard that people are an organization's most important asset. Today, this statement is more significant than ever, particularly as many organizations have seen their labor costs rise dramatically, while at the same time, customers expect increasingly better service. So, don't take the job of hiring lightly, and don't go into it poorly prepared. The cost of improper selection can be very high. When the unsuccessful employee must be terminated, the recruiting and interviewing process must begin all over again, and the successor must first be trained before being put on the job. These costs, however, are only the more visible ones. The hidden costs are frequently even higher, such as low quality of work performed by the unsuccessful employee while still on the job. So, what can you do to make sure you have the best people working for you? Have position descriptions for your employees so you know what the job entails and what skills you are looking for. A position description is a legal document. Without one, both employee and employer can be confused about roles and expectations. Employees who know what their role is will be more willing to work hard and to stretch the boundaries of their position when required. An effective position description should include a job title, job purpose, why are they there, reporting relationships, who do they report to, key responsibility areas, what are they specifically to do, limitations of the position in terms of problem solving and decision-making authority, environmental factors, what culture and environment will they be working in, requirements to perform the job, also known as job specifications, may be a part of the position description as well. This will include the education, experience, training, and competencies required to do the job. Even if your company is not big on job descriptions, write one up yourself before you sit down at the interview table. Then you will know what you are looking for. Above all, write one up before you talk with a new employee about expectations. Then you will know what you expect that person to do. Job descriptions should be written out for every employee. There is a strong management trend not to give people job descriptions, in the belief this will make the employee more flexible. However, what often happens is that employees either go off on tangents or do nothing in case they do the wrong thing. For most employees, the biggest problem is not knowing what they are supposed to do, rather than feeling they have too many responsibilities. Here is something else for you to think about. A job description is one of the most legal documents in your organization. It is the first piece of evidence that judges and arbitration or human rights investigators ask for when legal challenges crop up. The job description should be self-explanatory for both employee and supervisor. If they are so fuzzy neither of you know expectations, you are in trouble. 3 pillars. In order to keep the talent that you bring on, you need to be world-class in 3 areas. These are interviewing, orientation, and retention. Let's start with interviewing. Your goal when interviewing should not be to woo everyone that comes through the door. Instead, think of it like a first or second date. You're getting to know each other and trying to determine whether this is the best fit for both of you. Sure, you may be an industry leader who offers top-notch compensation, amazing offices, and personal assistance, but maybe your work environment is too structured for this particular candidate. In order to conduct accurate, productive interviews, consider the following tips. Know what behavioral interviewing is all about. The goal of the interview is to predict future job performance by learning more about the candidate's past performance. The behavior-based interview uses structured questions on the candidate's past behavior in situations similar to those that will be encountered in the new position. It goes beyond determining whether a person can do the job. It better determines if a person will do a good job. It determines how it will be done and to what extent. The behavior-based approach to interviewing has an accuracy rating of around 70% because it is based strictly on performance. Candidates also feel the process is fair and equitable. Situational interview questions can further communicate job expectations. The purpose of situational interview questions is to identify job candidates' work-related behavioral intentions by presenting them with a series of incidences which might occur on the job, and for each one asking, "What would you do in this situation?" Situational questions will be valid to the extent that they are parallel events which actually occur on the job. The closer they reflect real-life situations, the more likely these questions will predict future job performance. Brush up on your communication skills. Make sure you ask open questions of the candidate to gather as much information as possible. Probe for more information so you have the whole story, and listen to the candidate's response. Listen to what is said and what isn't said. Watch your body language. Candidates are watching your every move, so make sure you do not convey by facial expressions, hand movements, or tone of voice whether you are favorably or unfavorably impressed by a candidate. Be pleasant and non-committal to all. Next is orientation. When designing your orientation, remember these points. Induction is not orientation. Orientation is not induction. Induction is about showing a new employee the ropes. It's about filling in forms and learning where the washroom is. Everybody has to go through it, but induction is not orientation. There is nothing wrong with induction, but it has a wholly different dynamic from orientation. Orientation is about pointing people in the right direction. Next is on-the-job training should include coaching or mentoring. On its own, on-the-job training is not orientation. No matter what sort of technical or equipment-related or other on-the-job training needs to be given to a new employee, that training is not orientation. Simply putting someone in the seat of a dump truck or putting them in front of a computer with Lotus notes on it, or accompanying them on their first few sales visits is, by itself, not orientation. On-the-job training is actually a completion of induction, in that it completes what is necessary to get an employee to the point where they can actually use what you expect them to use. This doesn't point them in the right direction. It merely trains them how to use the resources they need to use. Mentoring or structured coaching alongside on-the-job training will assist with orientation by saying to new employees, "Here are the tools you use, and here is what we want you to do with these tools." Remember, orientation is a process, not an event. World-class organizations also realize that orientation is a process, not an event. Anything that makes orientation seem to be a narrowly focused single event, such as an orientation day or an orientation lunch, has a negative impact on the relationship between the employer and the employee. Rather, orientation is the process of forming or building a relationship. Relationships change in their nature. They change in their assumptions. They change in their expectations, and they change in their needs. And so should the relationship between employer and employee. And finally, there is retention. Employee retention is the act of retaining employees to work in the organization on a long-term basis. In fact, every organization grooms new employees into skilled personnel, and hence wants to retain them for a long time. A recent survey showed that more than half of all companies have no employee retention strategy. With the economy improving and the job market heating up, especially for middle-market companies, you may find that employee retention has become increasingly difficult. Losing your best people not only damages your productivity, disrupts current and potential leadership, and reduces company morale, it also helps your competitors. Having to match a competitor's job offer in order to retain your top performers is not a retention strategy. It only incentivizes employees to seek outside job offers and ask you to match them. Creating effective retention strategies is one of the most important jobs as a manager in an organization. Hence, there is a need to understand the causes that make the employees leave the organization. So, here are reasons why employees leave an organization. Work not as per expectation. Low salary. Lack of growth prospects and career opportunity. Absence of motivation in the organization. Lack of a congenial work environment. Unregulated work timings. Unwanted interference. No respect for employees' personal life. Physical strain and stress. Lack of trust among the employees and between the employees and the management. And here are strategies of employee retention. Recruit the right person at the right time and place in the ladder of the organization. Fulfill all promises or benefits to the employees in time. Make employees realize their value in the organization. Treat employees as assets instead of a liability. Train and develop employees for next challenges. And finally, give timely and proper feedback of their performance and support them. Finally, let's look at major factors involved in employee retention. Firstly, compensation. It includes salary, advance, bonus, rewards, health insurance, and retirement benefits. Environment. Organizational environment motivates employees to perform better. Positive environment creates positive energy. Growth. Every employee needs growth in his or her career, and most employees look for growth within the organization. Support. Support culture helps employees grow professionally, and they perform better in their job. Organizations need to support employees financially and emotionally so that they perform better and feel secured. Conducting talent assessments to create a talent profile. There are 3 components to conducting a talent assessment. The very first one is the past performance review. Here, you should gather information about the employee's past performance with the organization, including performance appraisals and evaluation, business results and accomplishments, diagram of their career track inside and outside the organization, lessons learned and applied, training and learning that they have participated in. Next is evaluation of future potential. Consider their ability to learn, think strategically, and adapt, how they cope with stress, uncertainty, and change, their ability and desire to move laterally and vertically, their leadership and communication skills. And finally, career discussion. You must have a discussion with the employee. Key questions will include: what do they see as their biggest success in their career in the last year? What was their biggest mistake in their career? What lessons did they learn from that mistake? How can they show that those lessons have been implemented? What have you done to continue learning and growing? Summarize your 3 strongest and 3 weakest skills. How are you building on those skills? Where do you see yourself going in the company? What is your timeline for getting there? Are you willing to relocate? Make sure that you review their career track and any other information that you have gathered to make sure it is accurate. Also note that talent assessments should be performed on a regular basis, annually at minimum, just like performance reviews. All of this information will be brought together to create an individual's talent profile. Ideally, your organization should develop its own talent management profile form so that information is gathered consistently. This profile should include basic details such as name, age, gender, position, supervisor, location, and years with the company. Education details, including college or university, training, certifications, and industry memberships, internal and external career chronology, relevant volunteer work, languages spoken and written, willing to relocate, significant accomplishments and business results, including publication credentials, top 3 strengths and weaknesses, lessons learned during their career, and how those lessons were applied, 3 challenges they think they will face in the next 6 months, or 3 development actions they plan to take in the next 6 months, potential successor positions and readiness rating, any other related scores such as performance assessments, 360 feedback, competency evaluations, etc. Make sure that the information is gathered and stored in line with your organization's privacy policy. Talent review meetings. Once talent assessments have been completed, the talent review meeting should take place. Remember, assessments should take place as often as performance reviews, annually at minimum. Who should attend this meeting? Organization leaders and human resource team members should attend it. The level of leadership that will attend depends on the organization. Typically, if a member from a particular level is invited, all members from that level should be invited, even if they have no high potentials or successors in their team. Why is it important? It will help the organization gather talent management data from multiple sources. It will also ensure that everyone in the organization is on the same page about the talent management program. It also offers visibility and support to your talent management team. And what should be covered? A defined agenda should be set for each talent review meeting. This agenda will depend on your organization and your program, but key elements usually include introduction of all participants, review of organization's talent management program, succession plan review, review of business goals and associated talent needs, review of business events, vacancies, and talent risks, review of current high potentials and high performers, nominations for new high potentials, review of all talent assessments, discussion on career paths, development plans, and job assignments. Wrap up with action items and date of next meeting. And each manager should have the following responsibilities during the talent review meeting. Have all talent assessments completed. Come prepared. Be objective. Present data rather than opinions whenever possible. Practice good listening skills and keep an open mind. Now it is your turn. Remember Smith Plumbing? Here's a recap of the background information. Joe Smith opened a family plumbing business in 1974. His wife, Jane, does all the bookkeeping and office management. Andrea Jones is his senior plumber and takes care of most of the hands-on supervision of the plumbers. Joe and Jane's children, Melissa and Jim, as well as Terry Andrews, form the plumbing staff. Here is your exercise. What would a talent review meeting look like in this case? Following up. Here is a checklist of typical actions required after each talent review meeting and who is usually responsible for execution. Building incentives into the plan. Compensation does not have to be part of your talent management plan. Although people may have an internal drive to succeed, tangible rewards are also required to keep people motivated. A good compensation plan has the following characteristics: consistent across the company, tailored to your organization, Competitive overall, meaning you can't pay the same amount as other organizations in your industry. Employees are compensated in other ways. A competitive advantage, integrated with other programs in the company. Ability to be personalized and adjusted. Keeps people energized and motivated. Think about it. Other than money, what other rewards can we use to motivate people? Some organizations link performance directly to compensation. One common example is the salesperson, who is rewarded with a commission on each sale they make. Here are some other examples of competency-based pay. Bonuses for achieving certain targets. Pay raises based on performance appraisals, business results, and/or competencies. Merit increases based on bell curve of overall company performance. Additional rewards based on performance, like charity events. For example, if you raise $50, you get a hat. If you raise $100, you get a t-shirt, etc. Remember, when linking pay to competencies, make sure that you're sending the right message. It is not uncommon to see people make decisions that are poor for the company, yet result in bonuses for themselves. Communicating with high potentials. A communication strategy must be part of your talent management plan. This strategy will be just as unique as other parts of your plan, but it must be defined, and you must implement it consistently. Employees must know what to expect. Communication options can include: never notify any high potentials of their status. Notify only the managers of high potentials, not the people themselves. Only notify employees or their managers who are identified as high potentials for particular positions. Telling each employee their status. This topic is very controversial, and there is currently no best practice or single answer. It really depends on your organization, your plan, and your culture. Some advantages of notifying employees of their status include higher retention rate, ability to offer more focused training and development, since employees know what they are aiming for, ability to monitor goals and measure results, improved transparency and trust, improved motivation and morale. However, disadvantages can include segregation of workforce. Employees who are not high potentials may feel like second-class citizens. Sense of entitlement by high potentials. Organization may have a reduced negotiation ability. Focus may shift from business results to career advancement. A full-scale management strategy and process is important. The right talent management systems will carry talent from applicant to productive and engaged employee seamlessly. Each talent management function, recruiting, onboarding, and performance management, should enable you to effectively manage your people to drive success. Here's how. With recruiting. Applicant tracking systems support the employer brand, manage internal and candidate communications, organize information, and allow recruiting teams to better collaborate. Remember, 75% of job seekers consider the employer's brand before even applying for the job. 60% of candidates think better communication during the application process would make a more positive impact. With onboarding. Employee onboarding solutions can help keep organizations compliant, ease new hires into their role, lower time to productivity, and decrease turnover. Organizations experience 50% greater new hire productivity when they have a standard onboarding process. Onboarding programs have been shown to increase retention by 25% and even improve employee performance by up to 11%. With performance management. Performance management systems help employees feel more connected to their job and goals, increase transparency and collaboration, boost the frequency and effectiveness of feedback, and help drive succession planning. Companies who implement regular employee feedback have turnover rates that are 14.9% lower than for employees who receive no feedback. 86% of employees and executives cite lack of collaboration or ineffective communication for workplace failures. Feedback for development. Giving feedback is one of the most important skills for a manager, yet it can be the trickiest and most difficult management task. It is an essential element for everyone in an organization. It's like breathing. People need it to survive. Think of feedback this way. It serves those who need to perform and reach goals at work, much like a compass helps a hiker moving through difficult or uncharted terrain. It's useful for indicating when things are going in the right direction, and a useful tool for redirecting problem performance. Withholding that feedback is like sending people out without that compass. We sometimes miss opportunities to give supportive feedback because we think people know when they are doing well. However, people often don't know if they are on the right track unless you tell them. Supportive feedback reinforces that the decisions or choices they made are right and are noticed by you. We also miss opportunities to give corrective feedback because we are afraid that giving unpleasant feedback could harm a relationship. In reality, delaying that feedback can do more harm in the long run. So, let's start with the sandwich technique. With this feedback technique, we remind an employee of their value to the company, and then we explain a specific behavior we want them to change. We follow that up with a reminder of the things they do really well. For example, Albert, I know you worked really hard on that project last week, and I was really pleased and surprised at the progress you made. However, that shop was pretty messy when you left on Friday night. I'd really appreciate it if you'd tidy up before you leave each night, even when you are in a hurry. If you could get that shop tidied up, I'd say you've got it right all the way around. Now, let's look at key actions in constructive feedback. Firstly, state the constructive purpose of the feedback and what you hope to accomplish. This provides the focus you need for your communication to be effective. If you are initiating the conversation, it means the other person doesn't have to guess where you are headed. Then, describe the behaviors that you have specifically observed. Describe your reaction. Give the other person an opportunity to respond. Offer specific suggestions. Summarize and express your support. Now, let's consider 360 degrees feedback. 360 degrees feedback gets its name because its method ensures that feedback comes from all around a person. It is a popular tool used for performance evaluation and development. Its origins date back to World War II, and there are many different forms that it comes in. Let's say that a company, Acme Widgets Inc., uses 360 degrees feedback. Who might participate in the 360 degrees review? Please have a look at this slide. Think about it. What kind of evaluation might each person participate in? Give your employees some problem-solving tools, such as determining pros and cons of various options. Ask them to identify options and make a recommendation as to which option they favor, and then analyze the consequences of each option. Become good at asking questions and probing. Stay open-minded, fostering engagement. If you're not aware of the employee engagement crisis facing the nation, it's time to start paying attention. According to research from Gallup, only 31% of employees in the U.S. and Canada say they're very much invested in their jobs and their employers. Granted, this figure is well above the worldwide average, which sits at 15%. Yet the fact that more than 2/3 of the country are not engaged or loyal to their company is troubling news indeed. Given these statistics, it's highly probable that a significant number of your employees and coworkers are disengaged. Some may even be actively so, meaning they're working against the organization's best interests. Clearly, something must be done. But what? The subject of solving employee engagement is not new. Business advisors have been providing suggestions for years, writing books, articles about how to make team members more involved in and satisfied with their work. However, most of these recommendations are limited in scope, providing only a single approach or series of steps to fix a widespread, complicated problem. So, to significantly increase employee engagement long-term, you need a comprehensive approach that incorporates multiple strategies, one of which involves increasing employee recognition. According to a joint survey from the Society for Human Resource Management and Globo Force, companies that create employee recognition programs tend to report better engagement, retention, and employee happiness. Many workers feel it's the responsibility of their employer to provide learning opportunities. Now, what if there was a way to combine the concepts of development and recognition into one strategy as part of your multifaceted employee engagement improvement efforts? Use credentials. Everyone understands the importance of credentials in education. They're a sign that a student successfully completed a course or understands a particular concept. However, the full potential of credentials is so much greater. When used in the workplace, credentials can engage your workforce by encouraging team members to participate in development and training programs and share the fruits of their efforts with others. How does it work? Your business creates development, training, or review programs designed to improve or assess employees' talents and skills. Then, you issue certified proof of their accomplishments. Employees not only feel engaged after having gone through the training program, they also feel recognized after receiving their digital certificate or badge. Furthermore, they can share their achievements on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, showing off their accomplishment to the world. This then makes them feel even better about their talents, their work, and their employer. You can use these badges and certificates to acknowledge employees for their of service. Gift your team members with digital awards for achieving milestones like 5 or 10 years tenure with the company. There's a difference between being at work and really being there. The Gallup Management Journal places employees in one of 3 categories. Engaged. These employees are passionate about work and feel connected to their company. These are the innovators, the movers and shakers. Not engaged. These are the zombies in your organization. They put in their 8 hours and the bare minimum amount of effort to get by. Actively disengaged. These employees are disgruntled. They waste away their hours on the internet and on the phone. They may even be actively sabotaging the work of other employees. Here is a graph showing the makeup of the average organization. Can you guess what group high performers and high potentials are almost always found in? The Richard Ivey School of Business suggests that we put the 10 C's into practice. Connect with your employees. No matter what your position, take the time to speak with members of your staff individually. Give your employees the opportunity to advance their career. This means you should hold employees accountable, provide opportunities for learning and advancement, and ensure that people have meaningful and challenging work. Create a clear vision. People can't follow you if they don't know where you're going. Convey your vision, your expectations, and feedback. Congratulate employees when they make a contribution or do something positive. Give employees a chance to contribute to the organization. Give employees control over their jobs as much as possible. Create a collaborative atmosphere. Teamwork is a great motivator, and research by the Gallup organization shows that having a best friend at work is one of the biggest engagers. Ensure your company is credible and has a good reputation. Create confidence in your employees and in your company. Now it is your turn. Ask yourself, what do you do in your organization to foster engagement? Evaluating your talent management program. Evaluating your program is the only way to know if you are on the right track. Every plan requires a system of evaluation. You can adapt your evaluation model from others available. Many are rooted in principles of adult learning and education. But if you cannot validate the worth of your program, chances are the program will not survive. At the same time, talent management planning can be such a complex undertaking and so difficult to measure that we actually become overwhelmed with trying. Remember, your evaluation needs to encompass the entire talent management program. Formal evaluation needs to take place quarterly and should be conducted by a formally appointed committee that includes representatives from a cross-section of the organization, such as managers, CEOs, and board members can all be part of this committee. We recommend that the committee follow a 6-step process like this one. Step 1. The committee meets for the sole purpose of program evaluation. Step 2. Committee members are briefed on the need for evaluation and the steps to follow. Step 3. Results data is presented to the committee. Benchmarks from this organization, as well as competitors. Make sure that you have access to the information you need and that committee members find the most useful. Step 4. Analyze the results of the program, recommend improvements, and document evaluation results. Step 5. Share the results that identify specific goals and targets for improvement with the people responsible for talent management. Step 6. Sustain the program with ongoing training, management, and by sharing information with stakeholders. Remember, through the life of a program, shorter quarterly meetings that review progress should be supplemented by longer annual or semi-annual meetings to keep the program on track. Now, congratulations on completing this step.